What's up, everybody? I'm Eric Harrison, and welcome to the Death Twitch. Long time no see, and to get us back on track, we're going to go with an old classic. The first movie from Steven Spielberg from 1971 called Duel. Alright, so Duel came out in 1971. It was a TV movie directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Richard Matheson, and starring Dennis Weaver. The plot of the movie is quite simple. It's a kind of a meek man on a road trip gets harassed and almost killed by a psycho in a massive, scary-looking truck. There you go, there's Duel. It's real simple, but this is actually... I think one of my things is my favorites about certain kinds of movies is when you can keep it simple and still be absolutely engaging. So Duel is definitely a brilliant example of keeping things super simple, but you're still involved and engaged by the whole thing. It opens up with some kind of like POV vehicle shots pulling out of the driveway, going through the city, hitting the road, taking off. And one of the things about this movie is Spielberg really knows how to put you in the driver's seat, so to speak. He knows how to create an atmosphere of what being in a car and going on a road trip actually feels like, what it sounds like, what it looks like. So we're given these simple shots driving through the city. Like I said, POV. No music. Guy's tuning his radio. Sometimes there's music on. Most of the time he's listening to a talk show, talk shows. But yeah, like I said, the sound design of this movie, you hear the wheels on the pavement, the wind blowing by, the sound of the radio switching stations, and everything just really makes you feel like you are in that car with this character. And speaking of which, the character's name is David Mann in the movie. And his name will play into themes about being manly and macho, or even just having courage in the face of danger. These are the themes of Duel that we'll be delving deeper into as we talk more about what's going on. One thing that I really like about this movie is they don't waste any time. There's not a whole bunch of, we gotta spend time with this guy and his family, and you gotta have a fight with his wife, and then there's things with the kids, and blah, 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 and then he leaves the house and goes off on his road trip. None of that shit. It starts out real quiet, easy. The car pulls out, drives away, and then when we're introduced to the character, David, just pretty immediately, we're also introduced to the killer truck. So the idea, apparently, is that this truck driver is a truck driver, but it also is apparently a serial killer. That's the idea. And again, we never get to see who he is. So there's this eternal mystery of who was the crazy truck driver. But on the front of his truck, we see all these license plates and stuff, different places he's been. The idea that Spielberg says is that these are like different states in which he's killed people, taking their license plate, which seems like a bad idea, but it was early 70s, CSI wasn't really a thing yet, so I guess it's cool to just take your victim's license plate and stick it on your rig. So as David is driving along listening to talk shows, we are sort of introduced to the themes of the movie of being courage in the face of danger, standing up for yourself, standing up for what's right, having just courage in general. So some of the talk show themes the topics they're talking about is like, I'm not the man of the family. I'm not the head of the family. My wife is. I don't have the power. So, like I said, David, his last name is Mann, so he needs to man up, right? And here he is. Here's his chance to find the courage for confrontation. So he drives a Plymouth Valiant, and a Valiant is a word for courage, for having the courage. So these are the themes that are going on here, and this is kind of the arc of our character David over the course of the movie. He starts out meek, kind of like not asserting himself, and then he has to, like, to save his life, he has to find the courage to defend himself, to stand up for himself, to face fear, to face the bully that's literally trying to run him off the road. David is going along the way, he has his little encounter, but whatever, it's just, so the truck's being a little obnoxious, passing them after he passed, whatever, playing those kinds of games. But next thing you know, things begin to escalate, and the truck is now physically ramming David's car and causing him to almost crash in front of a cafe, which he goes into thinking, okay, all right, that was insanity. That sucked. It's over. The guy's gone. I'm going to go in this cafe and relax a little bit. We do get a very one of those long shots. They call them a one-taker or whatever, long shot. I love me a long shot, by the way. This one's a little... It's bumpy. You know what? These are the days before Steadicam, so I'm not gonna deduct any points for that. It's a little bumpy, but still, it's a great one shot. Him walking through the cafe, going back to the bathroom, washing up a little bit, coming out of the bathroom, going all the way through the cafe, and then realizing, fuck, the truck came back and parked, and now the guy's in here in the cafe with me. He comes to a little cafe, and still Spielberg's able to build all of this tension of just the simple cafe scene of knowing, like, hey, that guy's in here. He's one of them, but I don't know who it is, and that puts you in that situation, and we don't know who it is either, and we never do. So it's just that same kind of dread of, well, I need to confront this guy, but I don't know where he is. I will say that this is the scene that introduces an aspect of the movie that if I have very few complaints, this will be one of them, is when David starts voiceovering so that we can get exposition about what he's thinking or what's happening in the scene, and I don't think it's necessary.
No, all I did was pass this stupid rig a couple of times and he goes flying off the deep end. He has to be crazy. Okay, so he's crazy. What can I do about it? Find him a psychiatrist?
I think if you had to have voiceover for his thoughts process, a little bit would have been okay. Here and there, hearing a thought here and there would have been fine. They felt the need to have exposition. A lot of movies feel the need to have exposition in them because a lot of people in the audience can't always follow what's happening. So a lot of people just aren't fucking smart enough to know. They have to be told. If I'm keeping this shit on Front Street. So that's my one complaint. And I will say this though, originally, I guess the original idea of the story was that David would be on the road trip with his wife, so that when things happen, he would have somebody to talk to, somebody to dialogue and communicate with, so that, we could hear what's going on instead of voiceover or having to figure it out for ourselves. That idea, I think, is pretty cool. It could have worked, but ultimately, I'm sort of down with just the loner aspect of him just being on his own. He has to face this by himself. And even no matter where he goes to try to seek help, no matter where he goes, nobody even believes him, nobody can help him. It's all up to him. Speaking of which, David may have ultimately have been wrong, but I gotta give the guy credit for standing up for himself and are trying to confront who he thought was the psycho truck driver in the cafe. He got his ass kicked for it, but he tried, and that's the point of the movie. All right, so after the cafe scene, he gets his ass kicked. He leaves, and then we just keep getting these like classic scenes, classic setup scenes. And the next one is where the school bus is broken down, so he pulls over to try to help broken down school bus, which is cool, because he didn't have to. He could have kept going, got the fuck out of there, but he actually did stop and try and help a bus full of school children, even though there's literally a maniac on the road trying to kill him. And this is a cool scene because, you know, it does the children in peril thing, which is always good because you get kind of tensed up about a situation like, oh, there's children playing near the road, and what if that truck gets them, which, you know, doesn't happen normally in these movies. That would have been a different kind of movie if the truck just went wham right through the school bus and just splattered kids all over the place. I would have really been like, holy shit, this is intense. And then he spots the truck and decides he starts, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. So he gets his car unhooked from the bus and takes off. And this is a cool scene I think is interesting because the truck comes back, right? And then he helps the school bus. He pushes the school bus. The school bus. Here comes Sean again. He's come fucking wants to review Duel. Sean wants to talk about Duel. Why wasn't I in the movie? So anyway, I think that's cool because it just shows a side of like, okay, yeah, he's a psycho killer, but you know what? He still does his good deeds for the day. And again, we got just scene after classic scene. The next thing after the school bus, well, the truck's got to harass our man David by the train tracks. So he stops, always thinking he's safe. Oh, I'm safe now. Whenever David stops, he's like, whoo, that was close. And then, no, shit's right behind you, motherfucker. So of course he is this ninja truck that can just kind of appear right behind you and starts pushing him into the train, almost killing him. And then when the train passes and Dave crashes, I love how just casually the truck just drives off. Yeah, did that. Alright, so next we got a scene where David is driving along throughout the desert. This was all filmed in the California desert, by the way, and he stops at a sideshow attraction because there was a phone booth, remember those? And the lady that runs this place is actually, what's her name? Lucille Benson, I think is her name, which is Mrs. Elrod from Halloween 2.
Harold, you want mayonnaise on your sandwich?
Yes, please, mayonnaise would be great. So she runs like a snake farm or something out there, and he stops to use the phone booth in order to call the police. And of course, he's trying to talk to the police. They're all useless. The operators giving them a fucking hard time. And the truck comes and just is like, no. This is between me and you. You ain't calling no cops. So he takes out the phone booth. And the buddy's, oh my snakes. Anyway, so this just continues. All these weird situations just fucking keep happening, right? So he's driving along, got the truck behind him, he's freaking out. He sees, oh, there's a cop stopped on the side of the road, because of course there is, right? They're always out there trying to catch peeps. And so he thinks he's saved. There's hope. No, he gets closer. It's not a cop car. It's like some bug spray car. Yeah, and I like that though. Even I thought watching the movie, I'm like, oh good, there's the police. He's gonna get help. No, there ain't no help for you, buddy. And then, of course, we have to get to some more tension-building scenes of David being just absolutely harassed by this truck. And he's going up a hill, right, and his car starts to die. You got to have a scene like that. It's kind of like the idea of, like, in a horror movie when somebody's trying to start the car and it won't start and the killer's coming. Oh, no. Oh, God, he's coming. Try to get the car started. It's sort of a similar thing. He's going up the hill. The car's already started, but it's just barely going, you know. And so it's like he's just like constantly, come on, and he's fucking freaking out. I love that shit, seeing him freak out. And the camera gets all close, and he's just like losing his mind. Good stuff. And then he finally hits the peak and he puts it in neutral and just cruises down that grade. But the truck is right on his heels, of course. Alright, so David crashes the car and you think, oh, this is it, the truck's gonna get him, but he actually manages to get that bitch restarted and takes off. He goes to the top of a plateau or some shit and has his final face-off with this fucking demon truck. So he does a smart thing here. I don't know if he meant to do it. I think he did. At this point, David's fight or flight adrenaline has definitely kicked in. He might have gotten some smart ideas about, you know, like, he doesn't want to die today, so he's going to figure out a way to end this finally. There's a cliff. Okay, yeah, I'll park my car here. We'll have a face-off. I'll ram my car at him. Boom, he hits him. That doesn't stop him, but there is a cliff right there beyond the car. David rolls into the dirt or whatever. He gets out. He's fine. That fucking demon truck, though, goes off the cliff. And a nice, beautiful, super slow motion shot of it falling and tumbling slowly down the cliff. Just this evil fucking mechanical bastard finally dying the death that it deserves. So here's my only other complaint then that I can think of about the movie, and this is a rare situation in which I'm on the side of the producers and whatnot. Well, so Spielberg insisted that this truck go over the cliff and just kind of sit there, and that's it, and it's done. The producer said, hey, we want you to go refilm it and have it blow up. And Spielberg said, no, I'm not going to blow up the truck. It's like a creature and it's dying. The producers are like, it says flammable on the truck. We just saw this flammable sign on the truck for the past hour and a half. But Spielberg insisted, no explosion. I'm on their side though, Mr. Steven. I would be so happy to see this fucking truck blow up, because I was relating to this character David the whole time. I was him. I was harassed by that fucking truck for the past hour and a half. I want to see this bitch blow up. I do. But they don't. I'll add my own little explosion just for my own satisfaction. Rest in peace. Okay. Oh yeah, and then he just stands there and he's like kind of delirious. You know, David's delirious at this point. He didn't expect any of that when he left the house. It was probably just going to be another day at work, right? And now it's like nothing's the same. He went into like complete primal mode. I think he's in shock. It would take him a while to come back to any kind of semblance of normal. Anyway, let's talk about some extra details before we wrap it up. Apparently, once upon a time, this movie was popular enough to spawn a board game and I think a video game. So can you imagine, like, hey, let's get the whole family together and play Duel, the killer truck fucking board game. Yeah! Woo! Little Timmy, you can be the killer truck. Just don't run over your sister too many times.
Jam!
Let's talk about Carrie Lofton, the stunt driver for the movie. Everybody in Hollywood gives this guy credit for being the best stunt driver like ever. He did the list of movies he did was just the guy was prolific. So we never really get to see him, but you know he's there. So shout out to Carrie Lofton. All right, so let's wrap it up then, I guess. I think that this movie is dope. As I said, this is just one of those, man, that hits close to me. When a director knows how to take a simple idea and still make it engaging. That's why I like John Carpenter. That's why I like Spielberg. For these kinds of reasons, they can make movies like this. Duel, I will go and give it the 4.5. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. I think that movie's awesome. And if you haven't seen it, you must do yourself the favor and go watch Duel. Think of it like Jaws with wheels.